Hey guys, Fourfinger here, and I wanted to give you a final update on the build, because right now it's doing really well. It's farming Simulacrum 4, it can do pinnacle bosses in like under 10 seconds. I'm really happy with how the build went, and I did make some changes which we'll go over through the video, but for now there's only one more idea I wanted to try out, and that's pretty much to remove all of the accuracy stacking, to remove the whole speed out of the build, and make this character just a Simulacrum / boss farmer, because right now we're investing so much just to make it move fast. This doesn't bring us any damage, this is just to make mapping and, moving around quicker, but I can remove all of those nodes to go full defenses or offenses, and then just, stand there AFK and Simulacrum and kill stuff. That's just a fun idea I might try out, but for now the build is great, so let's just jump into the changes. So if you guys want to know how the build actually works, you can go and check out full build guide on my channel, because in this video I'll just be covering the changes, and obviously I'll post a new POV down in the description. With that being said, as soon as I made that video, some Chinese guy whispered me and told me you can actually run two separate whirling slashes, and one of them can scale your AoE, while the other one just opens up extra support gems. So how does this work? You put Expanse, Magnified Effect and Reach, and all of those will scale your AoE. And even though this has a cooldown, you only need to use it once at the start. So you press this one, it gets all of the AoE, and then you can start using this one on top of this one, and it's just gonna keep the AoE while opening up, like I said, 6 extra support gems, which is kind of insane, right? So this is really good. On top of it, you can run stuff like Font of Blood, Font of Rage, Font of Mana, but for our build, none of those are too great. We don't need Rage whatsoever. Mana is not an issue because we spend none. And then finally, Font of Blood is okay to have. So you don't really need a 6th link, unless people figure out some extra new crazy stuff that they can try out, but for now we're good. For the main ability, because we have new open slots right now, the things you can run is like Unbreakable. This is just gonna make you have 200% more stun thresholds, which is really nice. If you don't want to run this, then you can try out the Energy Barrier instead, because if something does stun you, it makes your energy shield like insta start recharging. It's not bad as well. You have stuff like Behead. This is something like that you can combine with Culling Strike and put it both. And sometimes in maps, if you kill the mob with the Whirling Slash before Ignite finishes it, you get the modifier. It doesn't happen all of the time, but it's a nice thing to have from time to time if you want to play with it. There is a knockback supports, which is really good for Simulacrums, and that's what I ran in that video, I think. Because if you noticed, all of those big guys that try to jump on you, this just knocks them back and they can't really approach you, which is kind of nice to have. So if you want to run Simulacrum, those two are actually not too bad. Try them out. And then finally, I wanted to try this on my, like I said, AoE Scaling one, which is pretty much Ancestral Boost that can give you 20% more on top of all the others. And even though this is a new one that supports strike skills, and this is a strike skill, it doesn't work for some reason. I'm not sure why, but it does not work. It's a not channeling skills, because it doesn't say channeling, it just says it cannot support channel ones, but I don't know, it doesn't work. So that's pretty much it for the first change. Let's go on to the second one. So the next change is going to be regarding Sigil of Power, because it doesn't work the way I thought it does. It works very similar to how Magnitude works. You have to have it on your character at the time when you actually apply the Ignite. So you cannot snapshot it before, like maps and bosses. You also can't use it after, because if you already have the Ignite applied to the target, this will not buff that Ignite. So we'd have to reapply it with the buff to actually make it work. So how does this actually work on like normal boss fights? Let's say you're fighting Xesht, and he has a roleplay, so he's a little bit easier to like set up. So you come to the boss, you obviously have your big whirlwind, right? You're waiting for him to finish the roleplay, you press your Sigil of Power, you use something like this pair to get the mana spent to get the extra 4 stacks. And now, as soon as the Xesht becomes active, he's going to be ignited while you have Sigil of Power on you, making Ignite permanently stronger. So as long as you don't drop this Ignite and you stay in the range of the Xesht, he's permanently going to get like 60% more damage from the buff that Sigil grants, right? So this is how you do it on bosses that have like those like roleplay events. But what do you do on a boss that has like insta-fight, like a one from the, what's called, Ritual, right? So if you fight like the King in the Mist, because he already comes in at you and you're just gonna ignite him straight away, you wanna come relatively close to him, put Sigil of Power down, do the same thing with mana, get 4 stacks, right? One more cast, okay, there we go. Then you wanna get away from him to drop the Ignite, and then jump back in while you have the buff, if that makes sense. Because like I said, you need to have the buff when you apply the Ignite. So if he was already ignited and then you placed it down, it's not gonna do anything. So you just wanna drop it, get the buffed one, and then jump into Ignite. Hopefully that makes sense. But either way, this is a huge damage boost on like pinnacle fights, so that's really nice thing to have. Let's move on to the change number 3. And for the last change, even though I don't really need this one, I think it could be really useful for people on lower budget, because like I said before, this ability does snapshot, so you can get this helmet for +1 level of skills, you can get like 120% increased spell damage on Doedris, and then you can put your fire flower on, and once you do this, and you go to your weapon switch with extra boosts, you can get like really high damage on your incinerate. So what you want to do is like cast it now with all of those items. As soon as you get 8, you soak up the ignite, and then you can put back your original gear while keeping, like I said, all of the benefits, and this is just gonna be really helpful for people who don't have much gear. For me personally, I only use this. I don't really need those two. I mean, even though they're a nice boost, this is more than enough for my build. It just gives a lot of damage. So yeah, that's just something you guys might find useful. With that being said, like I said, I really want to try that full tanky version of the build, where I scale even more AoE on the tree, and just make a full AFK Simulacrum build that just stands there. But obviously it's not going to be for mapping, because we're gonna lose all of our attack speed, so it's now just a boss AFK farmer. So that could be really interesting. So I'm not sure what you guys think about the build, let me know. I also have a Discord server, hop on, ask any questions, always happy to help when I have time. And thank you for watching, thank you for all of the support, and I'll see you guys in the next one.